Hello everyone and welcome to Tabor Talk. So I have not done a video in a couple of weeks. I haven't been doing them as frequently, but trying to get into the swing of things. So I saw this, I couldn't believe it. The Owen Benjamin comedian now is like gone completely insane. He's like a super alt-right guy, anti-Semitic shit. I mean, go on Wikipedia and read his thing. He's been banned from all the platforms. He's just, unfortunately, suffered from mental illness. He is sort of articulate. In fact, you know, you can see that he's intelligent, but it's mental illness. So I heard about him going after Joe Rogan, right? And actually, Joe sort of, without mentioning his name, talked about some guy who took an edible and then has never been the same, and now he's a flat earther and he's totally nuts. So I found this video, which was released just yesterday, I believe. Owen Benjamin is not well. So I'm going to play a little bit of this and then I'll talk. So here we go. Owen Benjamin.
Let me read these super chats and then I will get into Joe the Toe.
Joe the Toe.
Okay, no, let's do Joe the Toe first, because let's compare it to how that man views my life, right? He says he watched me, he quit pornography, he wants to get into homesteading, and
let me just make this a little clearer here. He's crazy. He quit pornography. What? All right, let me just go back here. It's just, you know, I really didn't know too much about him. He's been on Rogan, by the way, and I'm looking for settings here. Here we are. He's been on Rogan like 2 or 3 times. 3 times, I believe. So let me just turn down the brightness. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. I should have had this ready, but here we go. Ready?
And whatnot. Okay, this is how Joe Rogan allegedly views my life. Okay, here we go.
That's as good as it gets.
I cannot help but think he's talking about me.
Wow, this is scary. Like, you can get so paranoid and so freaked out from THC that if you had a mind that was already in trouble, that's how I would perceive it. And I know of people, I know of one guy very clearly, there was a moment where it changed his life. It changed his life. He got a high dose edibles, and he's never been the same person.
He's actually being funny.
And since then, he's gone further and further downhill, like flat Earth, everything, like everything, all the above. He's, and you know, I haven't spoken to him in years, but he's out of his fucking mind now. Like, legitimately, and I don't know how much of it would have happened anyway. Right. But I do know that a large amount of it happened because of that one day. Yes.
Let's do some fact checking, Joe the Toe. First off,
Joe the Toe.
I did his show 2 times after Joey Diaz allegedly dosed me with high volumes of THC. He's calling me paranoid, allegedly, but yet he won't say my name. Everyone knows who he's talking about. Haven't spoken to him in years. High dose, went crazy. This is the narrative they tried to spin around me. So if you really believe that, why doesn't he call the police on Joey Diaz? Because isn't that grievous bodily harm he inflicted on me? Would I not be able to sue him for years
talk, but it gets
lost
worse.
income? Because apparently I went insane. He doesn't even believe it. He's lying again. And I think what happened is, because for those of you that don't know, about 4 years ago, I ate an edible on Joey Diaz's Church of What's Happening called the Star of Death, which was like 200 milligrams of THC. And I'm not a marijuana smoker. I have in the past, but I was not aware of a level that wild. So as I'm doing Joey Diaz's podcast, he's like, yo, dog, yo, dog. I literally start seeing him as some form of demon. The amount of THC that was in that edible
that could
was
happen.
so
I get
strong
it.
that during the podcast, true story, you can go watch it, I wanted to get some air as he's going, and then I left and I never went back.
That could happen. That's happened
to
like,
Amy,
sort of.
And
I don't smoke pot anymore.
was not right for about a day and a half, and then I'm fine.
I get
That's how it works. And so, if Joe Rogan really believes
let me
that
just
I
pause
want...
it. So Joe basically said after that incident, he's just totally, you know. I mean, he sounds fairly articulate, but wait, he gets... listen, I'm going to put the whole thing in the comment section too, by the way. I found this on Reddit. But anyway, here we go. Oh, sorry about that. Little interruption. Just put some kratom in my mouth. By the way, this is what I chew here. And CBD. So, continuing on, Owen Benjamin.
How Joe Rogan allegedly views my life. Okay, here we go. And I cannot help but think he's talking about me.
Wow, this is scary. Like, you can get so paranoid and so freaked out from THC that if you had a mind that was already in trouble, that's how I would perceive it. And I know
I totally agree with Joe, by
one
the way.
guy very clearly. There was a moment where it changed his life. It changed his life. He got a high dose edibles, and he's never been the same person.
She's funny,
Never.
actually,
And
kind of
since
going like...
then, he's gone further and further downhill, like flat Earth and everything, like everything, all the above. He's and you know, I haven't spoken to him in years, but he's out of his fucking mind, like legitimately. And I don't know.
My cats are
how much of it
playing
would have
over there.
happened
You can't see
anyway,
it, but...
but I do know that a large amount of it happened because of that one day.
Let's do some fact checking, Joe the Toe. First off, I did his show 2 times after Joey Diaz allegedly dosed me with high volumes of THC. He's calling me paranoid, allegedly, but yet he won't say my name. Everyone knows who he's talking about.
My cats
I
are...
haven't spoken to him in years. High dose, went crazy. This is the narrative they tried to spin around me. So if you really believe that, why doesn't he call the police on Joey Diaz? Because isn't that grievous bodily harm he inflicted on me? Would I not be able to sue him for years of lost income? Because apparently I went insane. He doesn't even believe it. He's lying again. And I think what happened is, because for those of you that don't know, about 4 years ago, I ate an edible on Joey Diaz's Church of What's Happening called the Star of Death, which was like 200 milligrams of THC. And I'm not a marijuana smoker. I have in the past, but I was not aware of a level that wild. So as I'm doing Joey Diaz's podcast, he's like, yo, dog, yo, dog. I literally start seeing him as some form of demon. The amount of THC that was in that edible was so strong that during the podcast, true story, you can go watch it, I wanted to get some air as he's going, and then I left and I never went back. And I went home.
Sorry, this is a repeat. This
and
part is repeat.
I was not right for about a day and a half. And then I'm fine. That's how it works. And so if Joe Rogan really believes that I went crazy because of an edible, why does he promote edibles, DMT, all that stuff on his show? I've never done DMT. I've never done ayahuasca. I've never engaged in the type of drug culture that he promotes. And I know why he's all nasty and silly right now. It's because I was just on Sam Tripoli's podcast called Tinfoil Hat, and we all had a big laugh at how short and dumb and gay Joe Rogan is. That probably made its way back to him because he's still connected on some level to Sam Tripoli, and he got really butthurt right in his little anus. And so if he's going to call me...
So I'm wondering, is this for real? But actually, you can see all the comments. Apparently it is.
Or insane. He first has to define sane. Is sane a grown man who scribbles on his arms in permanent marker, like Joe the Toe? His entire body is covered in drawings. Is a sane society the one that pays money to go into a black box called
This is
a movie
bizarre,
theater
listen.
and watch recreations of men blowing up other men and smashing their faces and killing and raping?
What's
and
he
as
talking
they're
about?
doing it, they're eating candy where on the label it tells you that it's full of cancer-causing chemicals. And you sit next to complete strangers. You cry, you get scared, you jump, you experience emotional trauma.
He's talking about
and then
the
you
movies.
leave the black box and look around as if that was a great idea. And then you do it again and again and again. Is a sane world...
Say-
So if I'm insane, that means sane is thinking it's good to marginalize mothers, act like a stay-at-home mom is somehow a failure, but yet those to be celebrated in society are liars and addicts who recreate sin on screens to program the youth. One of the largest franchises in movie history is Fast and the Furious, and the entire movie, all of the movies are about how great stealing cars are. Joe the Toe Rogan has glorified drugs, sodomy, pornography, debt, war, all under the guise that he's somehow
like he's saying, is this guy for real?
And so this masculine man, who I will argue is extremely feminine.
Oh, come on.
Extremely feminine, to feel like I'm scary, that I'm crazy.
By the way, I disagree with a lot of Joe Rogan, especially lately, because he's been really going right, sort of, like he criticizes the left and never criticizes the right. So especially lately. So I find myself disagreeing with him a lot more, but this stuff is outrageous. Ready?
That somebody laughing at him means he has to take these little passive-aggressive jabs. He's allowed on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Spotify and all these places that he knows I'm banned from. So this
he's banned
great
from everything.
Man, this powerful...
I'm going to put his Wikipedia page on there. It's incredible. Some of the shit he said and done. He's seriously mentally ill. Although he's fairly articulate, but he's just saying a lot of crazy shit. And he was good. I used to like him. And in fact, let me just continue. Look. Sorry.
Is going to take a little jab, a little shot at a guy he knows can't speak out back to him. I can, by creating our own platforms, which is not the act of a crazy person. And so I just wanted to share that because that to me is wild. And he looks like shit. Okay? If he stopped taking HGH or steroids for a day, he'd look like a shorter Rosie O'Donnell. He would just explode because I believe his body no longer makes testosterone or HGH because he's been pumping it into his body for decades. And so,
more than 10 years.
For those people that always said he lives rent-free in my head and I'm so envious, why is he still thinking about me all these years later?
He's not thinking
Why
about
does he
you,
bring me up to people on his podcast if
Once.
I'm so crazy? He's had, 5, 6 friends commit suicide in the last 3 years, but yet I'm the crazy one? Someone who strives for life? Someone without a suicidal thought in his mind ever? Someone who loves his family, grows his own food, promotes his community, offers humor in times of despair, ingenuity in times of American
How could you be that
attack.
crazy, Like
That's the crazy one, Joe? Someone that did the jokes.
It sounds like
Dave
it's a
Chappelle
joke,
is now
right?
being
But it's
supported
not.
For and coddled 5 years ago and suffered for it, for my art. Joe the Toe Rogan has pictures of what's that guy's name? Lenny Bruce on his wall because he wants people to think that he's a truth teller like Lenny Bruce. Joe Rogan lies and lies and lies, and look at his eyes.
This is crazy
look at
stuff.
Joe Rogan's eyes.
He says,
those eyes?
listen to this.
I've seen those eyes before.
He thinks he's a panda.
Does anyone know where they've seen those eyes? Oh yeah, it's a goddamn panda bear eye. I proposed months ago that not only is something very fishy happening around panda bears, but they may or may not be drunk midgets with suits on, pretending to be
This sounds like a
endangered
bit,
species that
but
won't fuck to save themselves. Sound familiar, Joe the Toe? Look at those eyes. When you have to wear the panda suit for that long, Joe, to get your 100 million lollipops that you love licking on the corner, sometimes your eyes reveal exactly what you do on the weekends. Now, let's watch what he says about me, allegedly me, one more time. And we all know exactly who he's talking about, and we all know exactly why. Because a bunch of comics were laughing at little Joe. They were laughing at Joe. Look at his arms. He scribbles pictures of demons all over his body that he can't wash off. He injects himself with human growth hormone and steroids so that his body looks unnaturally muscular. Look at him. His backdrop looks like it's one of those steakhouses where you throw the peanuts on the floor, where they like come out with a plate of sizzling food, like it's like sizzling.
So it is kind of true. That's a little funny.
You think you're gonna burn your hands,
but
like Outback Steakhouse,
right?
Joe the Toe Rogan, the gatekeeper of masculine comedy. And some people might say, but Big Bear, he lives rent free in your head. Why do you bring him up? Because he's the little dragon gatekeeper sitting on male comedy, mainstream male comedy. He is the guy that's supposed to show everybody the line that no one's allowed to cross. And that's why he tried to take me under his little dragon's wing and tell me what tweets I wasn't allowed to say. And I remember exactly what tweets they were, because at the time I thought he was doing me a favor. At the time I thought he was my buddy. I thought he was my friend. I thought that he was there to help me. And he said that I should not say, Sean, I'm not for slavery, but it would be funny if it came back just so Sean King admits he's white. That was somehow off the table for Joe the Toe. That doesn't age very well, does it, Joe? That's why the 3 interviews he did with me are all off Spotify. They're off YouTube. They've been taken down. Of all the things that he could be censored for, saying he wants to have sex with Jesus, and how he talks to DMT elves, and how Brian Callen likes to fuck and come in girls that he doesn't know and run away. How all these things that he loves to talk about, all the gay homoerotic bullshit with all his little butt boy buddies, he doesn't delete any of those. He deletes me. Why? Because it's so obviously wrong. And now, a guy that is a community builder, a father,
he's talking
about
himself,
a healthy dude, doing the best he can in a time of censorship, despair, wickedness, tyranny, that I've stood strong, legally, help people avoid violence, help people not get mad at quote-unquote them, whoever they may be. Help people reconnect to God inside you. And he's going to say that he's not the drug addict with mental damage because of his drug use. No, it's me. The guy that had one edible and then did his show after, and he had no problem with me then. It's once I start pointing out who he really was.
Wow, this is scary.
Scary.
Like you can get so paranoid and so freaked out from THC that if you had a mind that was already in trouble, that's right. That's
so my mind was in trouble. A headlining comedian who owns.
I'm going to put the whole thing in the comments section, by the way. I'm going to pause this.
Principato Young Management, same manager as Key and Peele, same agent as Will Ferrell. I'm on the wall at the Improv. I'm friends with everybody. I had no history whatsoever of mental illness. Very high IQ. Very smart person. Close with my family.
He's troubled.
Rescue dogs and all the rest. Okay, so
that's a good thing. You're rescuing
somehow
dogs.
At risk because of my mental state, Joe. Look at your eyes, Panda Bear.
Oh, come on,
And
dude.
how do I scare you? I'll tell you why I scare you, Joe. It's because I say the truth.
I would perceive it. And I know of one guy
Of all the guys he knows, of all the sex rituals and drug-induced mania he's been a part of, the one guy that he knows that really lost it from drugs is a guy who doesn't do drugs. A guy who not only doesn't do drugs, but his life drastically improved after leaving Los Angeles. It wouldn't be because that guy makes fun of your height, would it, Joe? That's very, very feminine of you. Feminine. For being a male gatekeeper, you might not want to act so fucking gay.
Oh,
all right?
dude.
You keep scribbling demons on your arms.
Okay.
And then injecting growth hormone that comes from China. God only knows what
Listen what he says here. It's crazy.
Or human they get that from. Human
Crazy
growth
shit.
hormone. Where do you get it from, Joe? He injects it into arms he scribbled demons on that he can't wash off. Look at him. Look at him.
He's really getting some crazy shit.
And he
Listen to
is
this.
going to imply that I was the one with a weak mind. A guy who can play Bach by ear. A guy who can think very clearly. A guy who can learn more skills.
So he's just
A guy
very
that,
insecure. He's
hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people witnessed, unable to build a ramp for my son. I couldn't, this should help rock climber bear.
It really is sad, actually.
I couldn't build a ramp for my son's monster truck. It fell apart. And within a few short years, I was building giant greenhouses with metal
I'm going to pause it
frames.
here. He goes into flat earth and everything. It sounds like he's bullshitting or trolling or I don't know, but he's just very sick. So, and by the way, I get pissed off at Joe too, but this is a case where I don't know. Okay, a little long here, almost 20 minutes. I'm going to be doing more videos. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. Peace, love, and understanding here on Tabor Talk. Happy holidays, everyone.